one of the top experts in the world on sales.
King of collaboration.
He's on the cutting edge, and what he does works.
Jim Padilla.
CEO of Gain the Edge.
He is the leader when it comes to sales and conversions.
A sales and business coach to some of the biggest names in the country.
Jim Padilla is known as the go-to guy for all things sales.
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Make More Sales podcast. So glad to see you and have you here with us. And make sure that you please, in the Facebook group, make sure that you're hitting the like or the love button. And please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on the podcast so that we can continue to come to you with all the expertise and the value that we love to bring. And obviously, the more you engage, the more you respond, the more questions you ask, the more customized the episodes get, the more streamlined the content gets, because now we start teaching more of what you want instead of just what we think. And it's one of the biggest challenges for a lot of content creators out there. Fortunately, we're engaged with at such a high volume with sales conversations and sales strategies and strategic events that we see all what's happening, what's working, and what isn't in the landscape. So we're typically coming with what we see as trends. So we're sharing with you what happens when our team is running campaigns for our clients, when we're building events for people, when we're having launches and challenges and events, and all the different ways that people engage in the sales and conversion environment. And so you're getting the benefit of what's happening behind the scenes. So we're not talking about what we read in a book or what's the theory that we think or believe might be what's going on. We're literally sharing what we are seeing happen at volume, at scale, from a company that runs 25,000 sales conversations a year. And the only thing that we want to do to make it even better is to customize all of our knowledge and experience and what we see to what you are actually dealing with now. Right. So the more we know about what you're going through, where you're struggling, what you're looking for, then the more we can help. And it's really that simple. So what we're going to talking about today's episode on the Jim and Cindy live show. This is part of our Mondays here. And Cindy is out serving a client that we're getting ready for an event in a couple of weeks. So she is not here. She's with us in spirit today, just not in physical presence. But what we are always addressing, this isn't, you'll find it as you're listening here and as you're diving in, that we're not going to bring a whole bunch of, there's nothing new to discover. There's just new perspectives. There's just many times the things you need to hear is stuff you've already heard and heard many, many times. And so more often, that which gets repeated gets remembered. So which gets remembered gets believed, right? So we tend to repeat things often, right? We also know that every single time we go live or every time we put out an episode or do a webinar or event, there's always somebody who's just hearing it for the first time, just hearing this thought process, just hearing this message, right? And this is things you need to be thinking about, because I see people often create content and always trying to create something new. Always trying to find some new angle, new thing. And well, you want to have that. It's also equally important to say the same things over and over again. So people know what you stand for. They know who you are. They know what you mean when you say that, right? And if I share with you 10 things on a call or on a training or on a video or in a podcast episode, you may only really grab one or two of them. And then the next time you see me on another episode or elsewhere, you might hear me say one of those other few things I said on the last one, only that last time it didn't resonate because you were busy grabbing it on the point that most resonated. And then even though you've heard it before, maybe it didn't really sink in. Well, this time it did, right? So you want to make sure that you're always speaking to people, introducing yourself to people so they know, because this could be the first time, right? So for many of you, you've been around a long time with us. Others of you don't know that Cindy and I have this crazy company, Gain the Edge, that we have been an outsourced sales solution provider in the expert influencer space for 7 years now, that we have employed and deployed sales teams and campaigns to the tunes of hundreds of salespeople, that we run live events and conversion events for clients, and that we help people optimize sales without being a master of selling, right? The whole objective here is we want you to make more sales without you having to be a master sales guru, because at the end of the day, you don't have enough, unless your pure objective and mission in life is to become a sales master. Most of you have other things you're trying to focus on. So if you're not trying to focus on becoming a master of selling, then you're never going to become one. So we don't want you to focus on that. We want you to focus on being the person that people buy from, being the expert in your industry that people want to follow, being a leader that people will follow willingly to make decisions in their own best interest, being well positioned and having people really understand why you exist and why you do what you do and why it matters. Right? The more of that happens, the more well positioned you have, the better partners you have, the more you will have, it will lead to you getting more partners when all of that is in place. The more partners you have, the more opportunities for people to show up predisposed to wanting to buy from you. Right? And so much more. So there's a lot in this dialogue, right, that I want you to be tapping into. And that first key point is that repeat your messages early and often. Make sure people understand you. Make sure people know why they should be listening to you. And then say the things that matter to you, say the things that you know they need to hear over and over. Okay. And one of those such things that you're going to hear from me today, we're going to talk about, is why the truth is the underlying issue, why the truth is the thing you should be tapping into the most, why the truth many times is the hardest thing for you to tap into, even though you may think, I speak the truth all the time. I'm honest. I'm honorable. I'm out front. I'm authentic. I'm transparent. All of those things, you fill in the blank. And that's awesome. And I'm not here to say that you're not. What I want you to be aware of is that truth is essentially a spectrum. Okay, it's a spectrum. We're all telling the truth to various degrees. Okay, and I want to bring this full circle so you understand clearly that I'm not saying you're a liar. What I'm saying is you may not have a relationship with the truth that you need in order to show up as powerful as you possibly can for the people who need you. Okay. So again, and we've talked about this plenty. And if you've heard this, then you just need to hear it again, because I don't believe anything happens by accident or by chance. So if you're here today on this podcast, on this episode, it's because this is a message that you need to connect with again. Okay, number one, telling yourself the truth relentlessly. And I just went through this the other day. I teach this, I speak about it, I talk about it all the time, I train on it. And it's a constant reminder. There's times where I get on calls and I'm like, yeah, okay, well, sure, maybe it would be good if they work with me, or it'd be good if they take my advice, or it'd be good if they acted on this piece of information that I shared. But then I thought, but they've got other options, right? And then you get off the call and like, what am I doing? No, they don't. They needed to act now. They needed to take action on this. They need to soak this in. If you don't understand it, well, are you asking questions about it? Are you pushing back against it? Are you challenging it? Are you just taking information and going, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Maybe, maybe not. Right? When's the last time you got on a call with somebody and said, you know what, I am the best in the world at what I do. I am best in class at this. And you do not want to be looking for other people, because all experts are not created equal, right? I can't speak to what those guys can do, but I can tell you nobody does it as well as I do, right? I'm best in class. I'm great at what I do. I can solve your problem in ways that other people can't, etc. Okay, so we want you to be really diving into what is the thing that you do best, and have you thought about it? Okay, so I want to ask you a couple of questions right now. One, do you tell the truth all the time? Okay, it's not a trick question, but you know there's probably a twist to the answer. Okay, do you feel like you tell everybody the truth all the time? Okay, and if your hand is up saying, yes, it is, yes, I do, then I'm just going to say you're probably the first person who needs to dive into this. I'm really glad you're here because there's a good chance that you're not. I don't know anybody who tells the truth all the time, not to other people and not to ourselves. And again, being that it's on a spectrum. Okay, how many times do you tell truth? Now, at first, let me give a caveat to this too. I've had some pushback from some people recently. You talk about all this stuff, Jim, but give me the 10 steps, give me the formula, give me the breakdown. And I'm trying to tell you is I can spend all my time trying to teach you the 12 steps to success in sales, which a billion other people are teaching, and other people you've probably paid to learn that from other people, yet your sales are still below average, or maybe they're average and you don't want them to be. You need them to be maximal conversion. You need to show up converting people. You need to make sure that when people show up, they know why they should be buying from you, and they show up wanting to buy from you. Right. And then you lead them to a powerful conclusion that says, yes, my time is now to change my circumstances. Right. And if you're converting more people than you're not, then you're on the right path. But if your bottom line is, if you're not, then it's because you're too busy. Most of the time, we're too busy trying to sell in a certain way instead of just showing up as the person they need to be buying from. Right. I'm all about you winning customers instead of you selling your stuff. Right? I don't care what your product is. I care that you know intimately why people should buy it from you. Care that you know intimately what are the key pain points and struggles and things that people need to be clear about to know that your problem, your solution is something they should be exploring in the first place. Okay. So when you start doing all of this stuff, it literally eliminates the necessity for you to be the sales guru. It eliminates the necessity for you to have to be the person who knows the 10 steps of the sales process that you have to take on. Because I will just tell you as plain and simple as I can, that's not how I sell. I have conversations with people. I don't walk them through a carefully curated, selected process of of navigating the conversation in just the right amount of gap, exploring the gap and tapping into the pain and getting them to say just enough yeses in the process and at the right time showing them a testimonial. It's like, no, there is no right time to show them a testimonial. There's the time when they need to be engaged with the fact that there's somebody they need to see that says, I see somebody like me getting the solution that you talk about. I want that, right? Do you have somebody? Do you have a way to connect those dots? Do you have that? Say, hey, yeah, you remind me of Susie. You remind me of Joanne, who showed up and she was just like you. And she was struggling to try to make, she thought 10K was the example. That was where she needed to be. If she could just have 10K consistent months, right? By trying to get through the sales process until she learned that by doing things the way we talk about, now 10K is the baseline. And now the goals are more like 20K every month because that's what she's been reaching and hitting, right? And you need to be able to understand who are the people who show up in your world that are showing up with all kinds of excuses and stories. And by you sharing the truth as the expert of their problem, that the problems they're running into, the reason that this stuff isn't happening is because they're buying into their own story of why people don't buy from them. They're buying into their own story, or they're making up their own story about the reality of what is, or they're focusing all the downside of what's going on in their world instead of focusing on the high side of what they can do for the people they serve if they will only show up and share the truth with them, if they will only show up and share the possibility, the realities of what can be. Right. And if you're the person that shows up and says, well, 97% of people are not doing the work, so we got to find another way to do this. Well, how do you make sure that you're talking to the people who are the 3%? How do you make sure that when you're talking to people in your world and you're sharing the truth with them about what's going on in their world because you're the expert of the problem, right? And you're not guessing, you are sharing with them, this is exactly what people are dealing with and this is what it's costing them. And is it costing you that, right? And how much longer are you willing to tolerate it? Right? When you're sharing the truth, it's telling people that, based on what I'm seeing, you can't, you might want to wait till next year to get this done, but you don't have the luxury of that time. You don't have the luxury of what's going on, of what may happen next year, because you may not survive until next year. And based on what I'm hearing right now, you're trying to do this on your own. And the reason that you don't want to go, you're afraid of getting the permission from your spouse to do this is because you haven't even told your spouse how dire straits the situation is. If you went to your spouse and said, this is the truth of what's going on, this company is this close, we're circling the drain, or we're this close from falling over the edge, and I found a solution over here that we have got to go wholeheartedly after. And we're going to eat some beans and rice for the next 6 months because we're going to solve this and fix this business and get it back on the right trajectory so we can get us moving in the right direction so that we can then come back and start eating the way we want to for the rest of our life. But we're going to have to sacrifice right now. And many times we don't share that. We don't do that because we don't want to worry the people. We don't worry our spouse. We don't want them freaking out and worried about the state of our business because we think we can just fix it. Oh, we got myself into this hole one spoonful at a time, right? And then we think we can get ourselves out of it. And we can't. We need help. We need somebody else to get in that hole, fill it back up with us. We need somebody to bring in a backhoe because the spoon that I've been using isn't working well enough, right? I know I feel like I'm kind of off on different tangents here, but at the end of the day, this is all about just how honest with you are you being with yourself? How honest are you being with yourself about the level of expertise you bring, about the level of truth that you're bringing to the marketplace, right? And then how honest are you being with the people on the phone that you serve, right? We had a meeting this morning for one of our campaigns, and we talk about what are some of the problems that they're experiencing when they're talking to prospective buyers. And a lot of the answers that we're getting, we're letting people just hang out there because we don't want to cross the line and push. We don't want to ask a more direct, targeted question that might ruffle some feathers, that might push them over the edge, that might challenge them, that might get them to hang up on you, that might get them to get irritated and frustrated. But it's going to open up the way that they think. It's going to open them up to going, wait a second, I haven't even thought about it like that. When they say, yeah, my husband won't let me do this, you know, you say, well, first of all, let's dive into that for a second. Is your husband really your keeper? Is this you putting it off onto your husband so that you don't have to make a decision? Or is your husband really, you just painted your husband to be kind of a tyrant? Is that really what's going on? Maybe your husband's trying to protect you from yourself because you've got a history of making bad decisions and not following through on decisions that you've made. Is that more accurate? Is there something in there? What can we explore? Right? Instead of just sending them off to go talk to their husband or their spouse, their partner, whatever, right? Where can you dig in with the truth and say, hey, let's open this conversation up a bit because this is not the perspective that we want. I don't want you going to your husband to ask his permission and get his blessing, because if you need his permission in order to save your business, solve the problems in your business and getting it moving forward, then you're not a business owner anyway. If you need his permission to do this, then he shouldn't give it to you. If it's your business and you're trying to solve a problem, that you can change the trajectory of your business and move things forward because this is your business and your business goals, your business dreams, your clients, your mission in the world, then you shouldn't be seeking anybody's permission. You should be seeking partnership and understanding if that's what's necessary. But at the end of the day, it's your business, not his. Right. And again, I'm just putting stuff out there for you to understand. These are the kind of conversations you have to be willing to have as a bearer of the unapologetic truth. When you hold the unapologetic truth in hand, then you have the responsibility to make sure that people hear it and see it clearly. Right? This isn't about you selling the product. If they didn't buy, if your decision is around do they want to buy our product or do they not, you're already in the wrong conversation. Your conversation should be around do they need to get moving towards the solution that they desperately are seeking? Or do they need to get out of this treacherous situation that they are currently in? Are they crystal clear how much tolerance and risk tolerance they've got to stay in this situation? If they don't solve it today, when are they going to solve it? Right? How long have they been dealing with it? And how much has it been costing them? How much longer can they afford to continue to deal with it? How much will it cost them? Right? Help them make decisions based on reality, not based on their own comfort, and challenge their decision-making processes because maybe you see that what they're doing isn't an effective way to make decisions because it's been costing them from the beginning. Right? I don't want that for you. I want you to be the bearer of the truth. I want you to say, look, here's what you're telling me. You just said you are all in and sold out. You cannot tolerate this situation another day. And you're telling me you can wait till next year to get started. Those two statements do not line up. And if you let somebody stand in that contradiction, you're part of the problem. You're helping them stay stuck because you are too concerned about being liked versus helping people break free from the things that are holding them back. Right. So I want to challenge that piece here. And this is where it really comes down to. Truth telling is about moving through the biggest barrier that most salespeople have, and that is wanting to be liked. We're concerned about the other person on the other end of the line liking us. And so we don't want to push. We don't want to press. We don't want to challenge. We say things like, well, they're an adult. They can make their own decisions. It's not my job to force them through that. Or they must not have very much urgency right now because they're not ready to do this. Instead of taking on the reality, owning the responsibility that says, my job is to be the one to increase their urgency. My job is to share with them the unapologetic truth, the crystal clear truth, not a fogged up mirror that they don't have to see everything in, but a clean, clear reflection of the situation that they are in and the path that they are headed on. And if you don't do that, then you are holding back what they need in order to make a powerful decision. You can't say they don't have urgency if you haven't held them accountable to seeing things clearly. And you need to examine that for yourself. How many times have I not led somebody to total clarity? right? Am I of the opinion of myself that I always get people to total clarity? And I will tell you this, here's a really good benchmark. If you're converting at 50% or better, you might be having those kinds of conversations. If you're converting 10, 20, 30%, I promise you, you are not having the conversations to that level of clarity and focus. You got to be willing for people to get off the phone from you going, wow, I did not like that conversation. It left me feeling really frustrated because I'm not doing what I know I need to do. Right? You're not there. You're not on these sales conversations to make friends. You're there to change lives. They need you to show up as the expert of their problem and point them in the right direction and help them see clearly that this is something that must be changed, or that their problem really isn't that big after all. And they have a plan. They know what they need to do. They know when they're going to do it. They know who's going to hold them accountable to doing it. And they know when they're going to start. Right? There should be no reason for them to get off a call frustrated because they couldn't buy something from you, because they don't think they could afford it, because you didn't help them see clearly the necessary motivation to be able to do whatever is necessary to take action to change their situation. And if we look at it that way, with a healthy ownership, not a judgment, right? Is a judgment-free, objective look at ownership, which says 100% of the time, I could have done more. 100% of the time, I could have done something a little better. 100% of the time, I could have done something different. That will always lead you to that place of figuring out what are those steps that need to be taken. Right? So I want to just challenge you and encourage you. But first step is be honest with yourself. Where are you holding back? Where are you stopping just short of getting them across that finish line? How many times are you challenging? How many times are you asking a question that makes you feel uncomfortable to ask it? Or are you holding back because it's making you feel uncomfortable? Therefore, you're judging yourself. So you're assuming they're going to judge you for it too, instead of taking the perspective that there should be a judgment-free zone here. This is about you sharing the truth of what is and what is possible to them. And anytime you're missing that opportunity, coming back and finding out, how do I refuel that tank? How do I make sure I show up with myself? How do I sell myself powerfully? First and foremost, the first sale of every day has got to be you, making a sale of you to yourself, so that you get on the phone or on wherever you're at, get in front of your ideal clients, get on dialogue with your prospective buyers and say, hell no, you do not have time to wait. You do not have the luxury of sitting back and hoping for this. It's time for you to take control of your destiny and your future and the direction that you're headed, because your future is up to you. And you're in total control of it. And your future starts now. When are you going to get moving? How are we going to help you get there? When are you going to take action? All right, what are you willing to sacrifice to make that result happen? And when are you going to start? Okay, so let me know what's the thing that you're holding back from. What's the one thing you're going to start sharing as the truth from this moment forward? What's the one truth you're going to share with your prospective buyers and with yourself? What's the thing you're going to start sharing with yourself? Selling yourself on your expertise and your own badassery. That's going to lead you towards sharing with other people in a powerful way. Right? Post that in the thread, shoot us an email. Let me know what we can do to help you with this. If you haven't been already, listen on the podcast. You can join us in our Facebook group live. Go to Facebook, Make More Sales with GTE. Actually, it's More Sales with GTE in Facebook, and let us know how we can help you. We're here. Our team is engaged there. We can help you answer questions you have with your sales situations and circumstances. We've always got events happening coming up that we can help you get your planning, get your strategic get your strategies in line, help you start seeing what exponential opportunities and ideas are out there for you. Let us put our sales brain on your business, because we are best in class. We master the art of helping you make more sales without you having to be a sales expert. Right? Thank you for allowing us to be part of your success team. Make sure you, again, like, share, rate, and review, and subscribe, and let us know how we're doing here, so that we can help you more strategically going forward. If you thought this was of value, please share it with somebody out there. Let them know why they should be listening to it, and invite them. You should listen to it with them. Sit down, listen to it with them, because you're going to gain more from this when you listen to it on the second time around. Right? We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Let us know what we can do for you. Please go out there and change people's lives, make a lot of money, and finish the year strong.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Make More Sales podcast. If you like what you're hearing, you'll definitely want to check out our Make More Sales Facebook group, where you'll find more amazing content, including free sales training and live content happening every single week. So make sure to follow the link below to join. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and share it with your friends. That way, more people can learn how to make more sales without getting better at selling. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.